Good afternoon. I'd like to call the pre-council for the city of Satsuma to order. So if you would, please go ahead and have a seat, and we'll get started. Looks like we've got a pretty long agenda tonight, and we've got several people here, so we'll get started. First thing, our call to order tonight, and the invocation. Ms. Reese, you
Sure.
okay with that? Have it. Roll call. Looks like everyone's here except the attorney. I think he is supposed to be here. The agenda tonight, the last several weeks, there's been some things that's been added and deleted at the last minute. So if there's any changes, unless somebody has any problems, as long as it's something that's related to the agenda or what we've already been discussing, I don't have any problem for an add-on or something. If somebody has it, do y'all agree with that, or would you have a, so if we all agree, I'd say let's go ahead and move on. So, anybody want to make that in a motion in a second?
I can do that.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think Heather said they were working on a printer today, and they've got it repaired now, but we don't have our minutes, so I think you did email it to everybody, though, last week, so. Okay,
I can handle that.
okay, thanks again. Second, again, Randy? Thanks. Recognitions tonight. Do we have any? I didn't think so. Moving on to visitors. Did anybody call and get on the agenda? If it's up to y'all, can we come back to that and move on down tonight? Because we getting stuck sometimes on trying to give our reports, and we don't even get to the last couple of people that we've been slighting, Ms. Reese and Mr. Phillips, when we're short for time before we get to the meeting, so, you know.
Matter of me.
Okay, we can come back. Reports and announcements from the mayor and council. Let's reverse that tonight, if y'all don't mind. Mr. Phillips, you don't usually, sometimes we're in such a hurry every time we get to your place. We hadn't even got anything. You like to start tonight on what we...
Mayor, all we
they're
got is our
working?
daily duties of what was done, and I can read them during the regular council meeting.
That's the daily work assignments from Public Works. Ms. Reese on Parks.
I don't have anything.
Goodness. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Commissioner. What we got for administration?
So, in your packet, you probably see a spreadsheet with a bunch of colors on it. That's some work we've been doing on talking about comparing, employee pay increases. So I compiled all of our employees, looked at it for the next quarter, which is, we have 4 months remaining in this fiscal year. And looked at it, how it would affect us for the rest of this year, and then what it would be for next year when we start, or basically this October when we start looking at budgets. As it currently sits, and I had my note here. If we did and these numbers are just, I just pulled from the hip.
Right, that's good.
If we did a 10% for 4 months, it would be about a $74,000 reflection on our budget, which would be about 1.37%. Next year, when we start our budget, it'd be an additional $221,000. If we did 12.5, it'd be about around 90,500, which would be about 1.6%. And for the 12-month period, it'd be about 271,500 that we would have to look at on our next budget cycle. Now, where we currently were at the end of, at the end of April, we were sitting around 46% of our budget being used. So if you look at those two percentages that I threw out there, 1.6 or 1.37, it'd still be, you still have plenty of room there. And also, we got notification today, well, actually yesterday, from the Department of the Treasury that some of the ARP money can now be used for employee retention and employee bonuses, not bonuses, but we already did that, but employee raises to keep it competitive with what the market's paying. We checked with Kara, and Kara agreed that that's the way that Heather and I interpreted it. And also, when we were in Tuscaloosa last week, I sat with a couple of mayors from Baldwin County, and that's what they used their money for, was for some of the employee pay increases. So just wanted to throw those out there at you, see which way y'all felt like we wanted to go, what we want to consider. I did read where Bila Battery's about to do a 7.5% increase. I think Citronelle done one recently, about 7.5 or 8. Saraland's getting ready to do one, so hate to compare us to others, but at the end of the day, that's what's happening with the workforce, you know, so.
Yeah, I think we all agreed a few weeks ago to start trying to look and see what we can do, where we were at. We got our 6-month report, so I think we can, once we decide on the percentage, we can afford a raise, so. Okay, well, thank you. It was good work, so we can see.
Yeah, and colors and
If I
headaches.
have any questions, we'll be able to explain it.
Thank y'all for the work. It looked good. Is that it, Jason?
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Butler?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Little?
I want to thank Travis again for the good report that he put out. It helps me sometimes, and I know it does the rest of y'all too. But that's some good work there too. I really don't have anything. I was going to thank city for letting us go to the convention last week. It was very nice. Did learn some stuff. Enjoyed it. Also, I was going to just say congratulations to the senior class this year. I think they'll graduate Friday. So that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Just following up on what Mr. Little said there on both of those. Yes, the Alabama League of Municipalities, several of us went up last week and attended some classes. It's always good to hear what other cities are doing and how they're addressing some of the problems. We're all facing the same issues, though. I don't care what city you went in, the big ones, the smaller ones. Everybody's been affected by the inflation, the price of petroleum going up, which affects every one of our projects that we have going on, our vehicles. So it's going pretty well throughout. I think everybody's dealing with it at every level in every business. As Mr. Little said, graduation will be Friday for the seniors, so we'd like to make sure we give a good shout out for them, and I think we got a good class graduating. Real proud of them again. I know it's been difficult the last couple of years with the COVID constraints and everything else that they've had to deal with, and so. Also, remember the girls softball. I think we play our first game at Oxford in the morning at 10:45, if I'm not mistaken, and then it'll go like at a couple of more after that. So we're wishing them luck and safety in their travel up there. Would remind everybody, I think the Methodist Church is going to have a fish fry from 11 to 1 this Sunday, and then on Memorial Day weekend, the Lodge is doing their ribs again, so y'all might try to make note of that. I met last week with the Ladies Club, and I think we have a couple of members here tonight regarding the chapel, and they've really been continuing to work on that and identifying ways they can better price and get things for the building to get started. Mr. Tarver is saying that he is close to a point where he could start working on that very soon, so if it's okay with y'all, I'd like to at least, let's go ahead by the next meeting and try to lay out where the thing's at so we can clearly identify, put the stakes in place and look for the parking and everything else that will be involved once construction ever does get started. But I think I told them that we'd all pretty well agreed on that at the last meeting, so Ms. Callan, is that pretty consistent with what our meetings and all have been? So I'm looking forward to that, getting that project going. Ms. Reese, we got Travis here. The park fence, we hope to have up by the weekend, but it's not. It's like every other project, we have to wait in line to get it put up, so. We got the Memorial Day event here at the Lodge. Jack, I need to talk with you afterwards. Our speaker counseled on us today, the one you'd wanted, so. So we're definitely going to have to think of someone else, so I'm very sorry to tell you that. All right, well, we got who you asked for, and then they had to back out, so. Okay. I was going to tell you that Explosive Signs did come look at our signs and how they could spruce up some and put some new signs up. But the wording on some of the signs, I don't think was exactly the way we had looked at it before, and I asked him to redo that, so I'll have that for y'all to look at. So I'll
What
try
kind
to.
of signs?
Well, some of them, like, go in different places we have at the parks and all, will be made out of one material. The signs that's at north and south end of the city would just be taken up and repainted, redone, refreshened up.
We had gotten quotes already in new designs that looked more up to date that we've already presented to the council. I'm not sure what happened to those. I know you said you had somebody that was gonna come out, but I don't know if they ever did, but we didn't talk about using someone else. Because we had liked the updated, more modern version of the signs.
Who was we?
I showed everybody the signs
Tell you
that,
what we'll do, we'll get those back out and we'll compare them with what they got and just let them, we'll look at the prices and what looks best. Is that okay? I'm okay with.
yeah, it was just more updated than the wooden, signs that have a lot of wear and tear on them. And the one at the south entrance was damaged by the hurricane, and that was, put on the, I guess, FEMA funds. So we had that expense covered.
Right.
It was put in our budget to purchase a new sign.
Okay, y'all may have seen that the pay-as-you-go finally got started, so if y'all been over around Avondale or in that area, if you haven't, try to ride by and look at what we got going, so. I think they got Avondale, Joe Janelle, and we're supposed to be moving to Willie Crook. Travis, is that correct? Willie Crook and then Bradford after that? Okay, we got in the packet tonight, y'all may see several things related to Civil Southeast. I think Alan is here. Alan, would you like to come up real quick and kind of update us on the different?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I guess the most pressing project we have with you guys is your 2022 tap sidewalk, which will be for Old Highway 43 and Hartley Road. That project is with AlDOT awaiting authorization. I do not have a time frame on when it will be authorized. It was sent 2 weeks ago, and we're going to continue to follow up every week. That actually has to go to Montgomery, go through the right-of-way division, environmental division, and then come back. So if we were to get a green light today, I would say we're probably at best 3 months from seeing concrete on the ground. But just as soon as we get approval, we'll let you know. Your resurfacing project, your Aldott resurfacing project, we've begun work on that. But one of the reasons we're here tonight is to talk about Dogwood. The mayor and James had asked us to work up something on Dogwood to see if we were to add it to this current project and bid it out as an alternate, what that would look like. And so that would be the first packet that you have here. This project, if you want to do it, the cheapest way you're ever going to do it is in conjunction with another project, just because you don't have to pay mobilization twice. You don't have to pay a lot of the lump sum cost twice. If you were to do it, you're looking at an estimated cost to Satsuma of $124,755. And that includes a construction contingency. So hopefully we don't have to use that, but we've just started including it on all projects with inflation the way it is. Do we have any questions on that? And this, assuming this is something of interest to the council, it would be designed and constructed with your current RAA project, being the old Highway 43 portion and the 2 roads behind the school. Any questions?
Alan, as far as engineering and all that, have y'all kind of looked at that?
We have.
Dogwood, does everything look like that's gonna be okay or be able to?
We have, I mean, it's a low-volume road. I know the park gets a lot of use, but in general, it's a low-volume road. We're going to recommend that we would do a thin layer of asphalt just to clean it up, probably remove the speed hump that's there unless it's just really desired. We would resurface all the parking, reset all of the parking bumpers, and then probably put the asphalt a little thicker because it's not in the best shape.
This is no mill and overlay, it's just,
No,
Basically
I'd be
correct.
scared to mill the road just because you see it's already kind of flaking off in places and we don't know how thick that asphalt is. And I'd be afraid if we milled much, we'd be in the dirt.
basically we taking binder layer, hitting the potholes and all that stuff, and then.
We'd flush it out, get a little slope to it, and then put a thicker layer than what you're going to get on these other roads.
I see it now, sorry.
No.
Well, when we originally started on this, the price was quite a bit higher, so we actually looked at, once we had this grant, about adding it while they were here, and then cutting a couple of the things that we thought was making it a little nicer out to try to get the cost down, because, I mean, going into the park, as much as it's used, and then a subdivision, it also, services a cemetery and all, I mean, I felt like for that price, that we might be able to afford to do it at this point.
And one thing that I noticed that I'd never noticed before is the additional concrete parking you have on the far end of the park there. Depending on where pricing falls, it could be a possibility that we actually build a driveway. I'm assuming people just drive through the grass to get there now. It could be that we actually are able to construct you an entrance to that parking as opposed to just driving on the grass.
You're talking about down with a handicap parking area,
Yes,
basically?
sir. And I just never noticed it before, as many times as I'd driven through there.
Yeah, I'd like to do that, and also if we could just make that turn at the dirt road at the end, because it's constantly worn in that area. We have to, get some big mud puddle down at the end a lot, so it would,
Any additional questions on that?
I don't have any. Alan, I think in our previous conversations and what you've got here, that it answers the questions I have.
And we've ridden this with James a handful of times to land where we are, just in case everybody was wondering.
The total cost, if I'm reading this right, for the city to do six roads is $124,000.
No, sir. No, sir. Just
Just
this.
Dogwood.
This is an addition to, yes, sir.
That's just Dogwood.
Yes, sir. Because if you remember the other roads, you have no construction match in that.
Right.
This can be paid for with the gas tax.
Absolutely.
Definitely needs done.
Absolutely.
No,
All right,
Alan, I appreciate it. Look, I mean, I feel like we need to go ahead and pursue it. We got some streets being paved now, and hopefully with these two other projects, can get some done, and we obviously gonna be able to get a lot more bang for our buck by doing it while we have somebody in the area working.
The second thing that we have for you tonight, AlDOT is searching for, or they've got a call for applications for another round of sidewalks. So the mayor and James sent me 3 areas, and we've broken those into 2 separate projects. And so the first one is Oak Avenue and Painter Drive to the new homes. So we would tie onto Highway 43. AlDOT's made some changes in their matching requirements. You no longer have to pay 100% of engineering costs. They're now participating in 80% of that. So that's great, but we all know what pricing is done at the same time. So it is a bit of a wash. So this road, this portion on sheet 1, that's about 1,800 feet. Your match on that would be roughly $50,000. The reason we do not have detailed cost estimates, we did not know if you were even interested in this. So the second project would be an addition to some projects we've done in the past, and also take us out to the community garden down Vaughn. We rode this with James, and the best thing to do, since this is 20 cents on the dollar, would be to pipe the ditch in front of the community garden. It's a really large outfall through there. Do something similar to what we did on 7th Street and really try to clean that area up entering the park. If you wanted to do this as a standalone project, you'd be looking at a match of about 120 on that. And the main reason it's so high is just pipe prices out the roof. So assuming this is something that the council would entertain, I believe we'd send a resolution to Ms. Heather, and it would just be a simple application. Obviously, no fees are due for us to apply. Same deal as we've always done.
Okay, on the last project we're talking about now, it's on Charles V. Street, correct? Is that what you're talking about by the community garden?
Yes, sir. I believe, did we mislabel?
And
Yep, we did.
so, right, you confused me on that, so I was scared you may have some of the
No,
other.
I apologize. I apologize. It is Vaughn Drive West down to Charles V. Street, and we would tie on to the northmost sidewalk there.
No,
Yes.
the sidewalks just stop basically at Vaughn Drive South, at Vaughn Drive Extension now. Then you got Landing subdivision over there with sidewalks, and it's a real nice subdivision with sidewalks throughout on both sides of the road. So this is one, if you remember, we talked about last year, we didn't do it, but it would tie the sidewalks where they're existing now back into where we already have sidewalks. So it's tying the sidewalks together. And it's also going to the park. So, I mean, I thought that was a good idea.
I know parking was an issue at the park or the garden. Which, let me ask a question first, because I've been seeing that, I know we've got water out there, but who is paying for the water that's going to be used?
Well, the water department put the meter in. They asked us about if we wanted to participate in any cost sharing with them. But as of right now, the lady who is running the garden signed the paperwork for the meter to be put in.
Who will pay the water bill?
So it's a city of Park, so I mean,
Who determines how much gets used and by whom? If we're,
we've
I
put
think I
something
saw
in
they were
place
putting
on
it
the meter.
in an irrigation system, but I didn't know they were making those kinds of changes to the ground and installing, I guess, I don't know if you call it infrastructure. So how do we know how is it going to be monitored?
Well, we're gonna have people go by and check the meter, just like we do everywhere else. I mean, but we have this same thing at all the parks where, we find water on or something. So, I mean, if you're saying, is there any possibility that it could be left on or something? We spoke with Ms. Gifford, who assured us that she would do a check on it and try to check it daily. And I also spoke with the water department and with Travis regarding he or Matthew, whenever they're doing the park work, to make sure we keep a check. And like I just said, we put a reducer so that couldn't get, a lot of water can't go out.
So I think we were talking about parking at this park. If we're putting sidewalks in, will that have to be messed up to put a driveway in for wherever this proposed parking might be?
The plan was to utilize the existing driveway. There's a grass entrance there now, and unless the council or there's a master plan, we can accommodate that. But as scoped, we'll just use the existing drive. It'll be a concrete drive.
Driving onto the grass?
It would tie to the right-of-way line. Yes, ma'am.
But we would repair the ditch and there would be some pipe in it, so we could probably actually make the driveway bigger.
And we could shift the drive to wherever would best suit.
I would just want to think that we would want to make improvements to the current parks that we have, instead of to a sidewalk to a park that really isn't well-established yet, or that we haven't included in the budget.
Sidewalks from an existing neighborhood to another neighborhood that has them, so we can put a lot more houses that would benefit from it by connecting the two.
Well, it would be basically a sidewalk for no houses, if it's going to be on the garden side.
There's houses directly in front of it all the way. There's no point that there's not. Are you talking about when you get down to where the park property is at?
Right, the
There's no
garden
houses on
area.
that side, but there's still houses across the street that would benefit from sidewalks.
We don't want to put it on that side, the side of, actually, the house is on?
If you didn't, how are you gonna connect to the sidewalk on Landing, because they're on the other side of the road?
If I
Just
remember
asking.
right, there's a sizable ditch, and there appears to be more right-of-way on the park side, but we've not dug into a detailed design or survey to establish that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions about that one?
Gentlemen, y'all hadn't said anything?
We're good.
Ms. Heather, did you get the resolution that I forwarded for this? Okay. All right, any other questions?
No, thank you, Alan. I appreciate your work on it,
About
giving
the
this to
one
us.
I'm looking at here on Creek Circle, we hadn't discussed it.
Creek Circle, that would tie from the back of the subdivision back around to the sidewalk on Powers.
You're saying it wasn't brought up, is it still in the plan?
Yes, sir. So just to be clear, we broke this into two potential projects, with the back page being Project A. So Creek Circle and Vaughn would be your application. And then if you chose to, we could add Oak. The question that we had was, what did the city want to match? So to help with those numbers, we've included what your payment would be approximately per fiscal year.
What percentage of the sidewalks are in this area right here as compared to the rest of the city?
I don't have linear footage of all the sidewalks in the city.
Estimate,
I wouldn't even know where to.
okay. I'd like to see sidewalks in other parts of the city, in my opinion. And I understand it's to connect, but
Right, those are connecting sidewalks to sidewalks, but I mean, he's got here, because we rode down and looked at your request where you was talking about from down Oak is here, so I mean,
what did the people in the neighborhoods, who was the home builder?
Yeah, does that known Oak go run down in front of your house, Allison?
It does not.
It stops before there? I can't find it.
I said that that would be a good road to put the sidewalk on, because that's the one that the garbage trucks go on and kids are walking to school. So if any road, I think that's a good one.
how much more would we be looking at, you think, to add the Oak Avenue to the sidewalk project? Alan?
We said that if you wanted to do what we're calling Project A, your match would be 120. Now, keep in mind, that does have a construction contingency built into it. If you wanted to do it all, you'd be looking at 170. Just Oak is about 50, because there are a lot of driveways we have to get through, because, depending on the side of the road that we'd have to be on. We would have to be on the west side of the road.
I know, I got it right here.
The east side has trees just right there that homeowners would
I
not be
don't
happy
live on
about.
those roads.
I don't know where you live, that's the reason I think.
Also appears the right-of-way's a little wider on the west.
Just for clarification, I don't live on Oak or Painter Drive, so Just let the record show that.
Any other questions?
No, Alan, I don't have any further. All
right.
I think most of us are satisfied.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, if you need me, call me. I'm going to excuse myself. Thank y'all.
Okay.
You have to stay for the whole thing. Okay. Just kidding.
Moving on real
You're
quick.
dismissed.
We've had some difficulty of getting the inmates this past week, so we've been down a little bit in our workforce in Public Works. Travis, do we have an indication of when we might be back up to?
Yes, sir,
Full.
they came back today,
Okay, so they did go ahead and release them?
escaped. He wasn't gone 24 hours, so they was able to open everything back up.
Yeah, good. They shut us down Monday and Tuesday from getting our help. We have two resolutions tonight on the, it's in your packet, and I just wanted y'all to look over them and see if y'all had anything you might want to add to on these. I've mentioned it at a couple of meetings. Diane Burnett from Regional Planning, along with, she just retired, and Kevin Harrison is leaving in July, although they don't really come to our meetings much. Diane used to come, but they, for well over 30 years, have been a great help with our planning board, Board of Adjustments, working on the grants. And before regional planning got so big, when we started senior services and all, some of that still fell under them. So I thought it'd be very nice of us to present them just with a resolution of thanks for the years of service. So we're going to put that on the next agenda if y'all are okay with that. Mr. Skelton, I know you and I have spoken a couple times regarding Juniper Avenue, the curve and the amount of accidents we've had over the years there. We've got some numbers on what we're looking for on at the price. It looks like to do the lighted display that we're looking at, it's about $8,200, if you would like to glance over that for a minute, see what you think with the, what they've got. So it's going to cost us a little money. We can pay for that again out of 4 cents. Shouldn't be a problem. But I do think we need to put some lighted sign and perhaps some of those speed signs. I would like to buy maybe 3 or 4 of those that show, if you're familiar with them, like over at the beach where they show you your speed, what the speed limit is. It starts flashing at the higher rates of speed, and also maybe that will do something to slow the speed down, because it seems like no matter what we do, Juniper Avenue, Thomas, Powers, Hartley Road, and I-65 Service Road, we're going to have complaints in those areas. So we're looking at putting some more signs in place and on a couple of the other curves that we have too while we're getting them. We have contacted the Personnel Board. They are compiling a new list for a building inspector. And I've already reminded y'all on the Memorial Day, so we'll ask who's going to be attending that. So Edith was wanting to know so we could get the program. Those are the main things that I have, other than what will be covered once we get to the either from me or in the agenda. But with that being said, now I think there are a couple people that wanted to come before the council tonight, so we have a few minutes. So if somebody's wanting to appear, one of them had already asked, was Alan from Civil Southeast, so he's already taken care of. Mr. Cassidy, I think you had said you wanted to come before the council. Would you please come up and state your name and
Yes, sir, I'm still Mike Cassidy. And we, the committee that's been talking about this Creola Satsuma annexation are still where we were 2 weeks ago. We're still looking for some kind of commitment from each of y'all to what you want to do and when you're going to do it. We've done all we can do. As I get calls from people now, I tell them, you know, we're waiting on Satsuma to make a commitment. We're about to the point to saying Satsuma didn't make a commitment. So, I mean, we're down to the moment of truth. There's nothing else we can do until we get a commitment from Satsuma. And, you know, if we get a commitment from Satsuma, then we can go back to the people in Creola and say, here's the agreement, here's the commitment, here's what's on the table. But we can't do that till we know what's on the table. So I'd like for each one of you to just tell me where you're at and what we need to do to move forward.
Last week, or last time you were here, you said we have been talking about it for over a year. I'm not sure who you were referring to that we've been talking about it. I haven't been talking about it with anyone, and I don't have any information to base a decision on if I'm going to merge with another city or not. So I don't have nothing, no one's presented me anything, no one's asked me or given me any information, so I can't just make an uninformed decision or a choice.
Well, when I said we've been talking for almost a year, 9, 10 months anyhow, I mean we the citizens. This started out as just conversations between, this whole thing from the get-go has been citizens driven.
No
So-
one's come up here, though, for, like, you're the first person, so if a year conversation has been going on, I've not had any knowledge of that.
Well,
So maybe you've been talking amongst yourselves, but nothing before the council.
right. That is to some extent true.
Sure.
You're right. Only in the last 2 months or 2.5 months or whatever, has there been any conversation with any of the council. But we're to the point now, we've had meetings, we've talked about the possibilities, we've had questionnaires, we've got people we've shown that people in Satsuma and Creola have the interest. And so now I guess what I'm asking you is what do you want to know and how do we go about getting that?
Well, I think Jason mentioned last time about feasibility studies and, you know, what the debt is of Creola. I mean, we don't have any information. We would
Right.
probably need the league to come down and provide counsel to us on how this process even works.
The league, you mean the League of Municipalities?
Yes, sir.
So you think that's the next step?
No, I don't know what the next
Well,
step
that's
is.
what I'm asking you. What is the next step?
Who are we doing this for?
For the citizens of Satsuma and the citizens of Creola?
You live in Creola,
do.
right? Okay.
But you had a meeting, and did you make the meeting that night?
I did not go to the meeting because I didn't have any information.
That's
Nor
what
did
the-
I want to be asked any questions that I didn't.
Well, that's what the meeting was for, was to give out that information,
How many people? 100 and something?
about 200.
Yeah. Was that less than 1% of the people?
I haven't done that math. I don't,
Yeah, between both cities, I would say that. Yes, sir.
yeah.
That's not very many people, in my opinion.
Well, there was a lot of people like you that didn't come.
Sure.
So, I mean, if you don't come, you can't get that information. But
I think those were all opinions, possibly, and people answering questions and providing answers. It
well,
wouldn't be
what do you mean by
facts.
all by opinions?
I mean, if you didn't have anybody that knew about the process, or I don't know, like, I know you had maybe some facts. I don't know. I didn't watch the show. So I would say we would want to get,
I'm not sure. Well, you mean, when you say I mean, the numbers that we had was off of the census data. I mean,
sure, I would just think it was people sharing ideas and asking just general questions.
Where
So
are we going to start? We got to start somewhere.
if we want to start.
Well, maybe that's the question. Do we want to start?
Some type of conversation.
Oh,
We just
okay.
don't
Well,
want
they have
to
more answers
For
then.
everything, any opportunity like that myself. So I'll go ahead and say that once again. And I think it's important enough to attend those type meetings, or if I can't, at least watch them, so I could be informed.
Sure.
But, you
sure.
know, I understand you're not going to be attacked up here. If it's a feasible thing to do, I think we should explore it.
Well, and the only thing we could do as a committee was to establish whether there was or was not interest.
I guess maybe you should be asking them specifically, since they were the ones that were meeting with you after the meeting last time. Maybe you're looking to them for guidance or answering the question.
I'm looking for a commitment from Satsuma as to where we go from here. And it's not just him and him or whoever you're
I
pointing
went to the
to.
meeting and listened to the facts.
Sounds like somebody else has some ideas of what maybe they want to be talking about.
I personally would love to see Mayor Barlow write a letter asking the city of Creola to sit down into discussion. Let's talk about it. I mean, everybody
an
seems
answer.
scared to death to even have a conversation.
Scared
I
of
mean,
what?
yeah, I mean, for some reason you don't want to do it. I mean.
Wait, now you
figures
can't
show-
put words
the
in
figures show
people's
the
mouths.
city will grow 237%, and you're dead set against that. I mean,
Bubba,
you
don't
tell-
put words in my mouth.
But like I say, we need to open a dialogue.
Don't say lies, because that's not what I said.
Quit interrupting me. I'll let you talk. You let me talk.
Okay,
Sure, Bubba.
let's come back to order. Mike, thank you. There's nothing wrong with exploring ideas of how to make the area better.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, I don't know exactly what path to go. So despite what some people think, I don't know of any private conversation that I had afterwards. But if you'd like to come around here more or attend any of the meetings, please do so.
The one meeting at the church,
The one you couldn't make, but, I mean,
I didn't go on purpose.
That's where all the,
oh, so you didn't go on purpose?
I
Is that
did
what you
not
just
attend
said?
the
Is that
meeting.
what you just said? You didn't go on purpose?
I'm sorry, why would I have to go?
well,
Council member, why wouldn't you go to something like that?
that's where we shared what facts we had and what opinions, if you want to call it that. But we're to the point now that, we got to put some feet to all these thoughts and opinions, and we can't do it without that. If I had 100% of the people from Creola that was all in and signed, and the ball's in Satsuma's court. If we don't get a commitment from Satsuma, we can't go up there and even have a petition drive to see if to get a vote. And all we're asking for is a vote. If the people vote it down, then it's over. But we've put so much time and effort into what a lot of people, in their opinion, is a good idea, and we're to the end of the road until we get some commitment.
Let me,
So- I'm sorry?
Mike, let me add, when you say you want a commitment from us, I still think when you say that we're almost to the end of the road, I mean, when you're looking at a mayor and a council that don't have any more information than what we have, I think we're still early on that road.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. And when I say we're at the end of the road, I mean, we, the committee, we are at the end of our road. There's nothing else we can do until we get some commitment.
Okay?
And I agree that we're just trying to get started down that road.
I mean, there's a lot of, for Satsuma, there's a lot of pros
Absolutely.
down the
Creole
road.
too.
Creole also. But what you're asking, and that might be the step we need to just take. I mean, if you're talking, we need to get together with our mayor and council and Creola's mayor and council and find out what they actually want. If y'all concerned with that, or if you're not, as far as the mayor and council in Creola, you say that y'all have been to them before already?
I have had some limited conversation with different ones of them.
Okay.
But when I went to I go to their council meeting just like I did this one. And what they're telling me is that, there was another gentleman that asked him, what are y'all speaking to the Creola Council, what are y'all gonna do? And the mayor says, well, really, there's nothing we can do. This is just a conversation. There's nothing official on the table.
Okay,
So
well,
we're trying to get something started officially to kickstart the conversations.
okay, well, I would entertain, I would be in favor of, let's write them a letter. Write them a letter and ask them, what do they think? Are they concerned, or do they want to entertain, coming to Satsuma? And I guess that's what you're getting at. I mean, if we're trying to get them to speak and make an assumption or do, something from there, I'm agreeable with that, if that's what, you know,
And identify the-
everybody wants to do.
Yes, sir. Identify where we're at.
And I think that's something that would put what they call something official on the table. Send them a letter from you or you or you or you or whoever it needs to come from.
Because at this point, from the information that I know about it, and you asking, you know, me, or, you know, you saying one-on-one what we think about it, well, you're not gonna like my response right at this moment in time.
It doesn't matter whether I like it.
Right now.
Yeah.
But you might later if I can find out a lot more information.
And I certainly wouldn't expect anybody to make a decision based on what you know.
Well-
But to Jason's point, last time we met, he said, I need to know this, and that's certainly understandable. But that information ain't gonna just fall out of the sky. Something's gotta happen to make it come out. And we have that information, we, the committee. When I say we, I mean the committee. So if we can get, I guess, that start, then that start is a start.
Okay.
What did the other Creola council members say when you asked them if they were for it or against it?
Well, I can, though I won't. I think I can tell you where every one of them's at. And,
No, what did they say? Like, did you approach them like this when you went to their meeting?
oh, yeah, that's when they said, well, there's nothing official for us to,
What would they say, though, did you ask them like you asked us? Were they for it or against it?
no, we have asked them, would they entertain that? And we have offered them, or I guess not offered them, we have asked them, what would your position be?
What did they say?
We don't have anything official.
So they didn't give you an answer
No,
either?
we don't have anything to have a position on. And that's why I'm saying that something official has got to start the ball rolling. And in my opinion, and my next law class will be my first one, but in my opinion, Satsuma, I mean, if we had a petition with 100% of the signatures on Creola, and Satsuma says that they're not willing to annex, then it doesn't matter. So that's why I think we have to get something from Satsuma to get the ball going. That may be all wrong, because it's, to your point, just my opinion.
Okay, Mike, I think Mr. Little suggested that we could write a letter and asked if they would sit down and meet with us, and let's discuss if there's
Thank
any
you.
possibility of
Thank you.
pursuing it.
That sounds like a good start.
We can do that. Mr. Butler, is that
That's
okay
just
with
my
you?
opinion now.
Mr. Skelton,
I don't have a problem with it.
Ms. Reese, Mr. Phillips?
No problem with it, Mayor.
Okay, Mike, that's
Thank you.
what we'll do. Thank you. Is there anyone else that's wanting to come up tonight? Come on up, sir. Now, we are in pre-council, so we can't give you an official answer or vote on anything. but-
I'm just
Okay,
done
come
no
on.
notification. So,
Yes, sir.
my name is T.W. Barnes. I live on 320 Chelsea Court in Gilbert Creek Estates. I'm here representing myself, and I am the HOA president of our subdivision.
Okay.
I do have a little handout I would like to hand you guys out. I'm here because this past Sunday, an event that's kind of been happening pretty regular. It's happened the past couple of years.
Thank you.
You probably already know it, the dreaded
Thank
Gilbert
you.
Creek subdivision speed bump.
Thank you.
The first picture there is a picture of the speed bump. It is a speed bump that our neighborhood come together. I kind of got voted in as the president of the HOA a couple years ago. I was nominated and didn't know I'd end up being the president. So first thing of order, everyone in the neighborhood came to me and they were concerned with the speeding. First thing we tried to do was a stop sign at Kitty Court and Chelsea Court. That was shot down because DOT rules and laws and things like that. You cannot put stop signs in to control traffic, is what I was told at that time during the council. So what they did to try to mitigate the speed of drivers coming through there is do a speed bump. The first speed bump was a nightmare. It was about this tall. It was considered a 1 mile per hour speed bump. It would rearrange stuff in your toolboxes, everything. It was really bad. Had a lot of complaints about it. I had complaints about it. complaints to the HOA. People were calling you guys. Y'all come out. It was out there for about 2 months. I hated it. It was in front of my house. I had to come every time I come in and out. Came out, they put a different speed bump. That speed bump was like a 10-mile-an-hour speed bump. No one paid it attention. They flew in, flew out. Didn't do anything. Later, they came out and put this speed bump in. This speed bump is an excellent speed bump. The issue we are having with it now is people driving around it. This thing sits in my front yard, like it is directly in front of my house. Directly in front of the house across the street. My house is not the white brick house. If you go to the very last picture that shows the plot or whatever, the house that is highlighted in yellow, that is my house. And you can see the speed bump where it is located. People like to drive around the speed bump. They like to take 2 tires across it, 2 tires across my grass, 2 tires across my sidewalk. I have stopped a dozen or more people over this speed bump. I have been cutting my grass on my lawnmower and had people drive around this speed bump. Just blatantly drive in my yard, get off. I get off, I notify, I stop, I get out and I say, hey, usually a very quick conversation. Hey, you drove in my yard. You know, very simple. Most people in Satsuma are very cordial. We're a small community. Most everybody knows everybody. This past Sunday, however, had an incident. We're coming home from church. 2 of my other neighbors, Jeff Hinton, Stacy Hinton, are riding bicycles in front of me. Me and my wife are in my truck. Jeff and Stacy in front of me, and there is a maroon or red or whatever you want to call it, Toyota Tacoma truck. It drives on the grass, 2 wheels on the speed bump, 2 tires in my grass, almost on my sidewalk. So I confronted that person just like I would do anyone else. Went to them, pulled in their driveway. First thing I did, I've got residential sales 101. First thing you do is you get out of the truck, you park at the end of the driveway, you get out, introduce yourselves. Hello, my name is T.W. Barnes. That person asked me, says, yeah, can I help you? I asked, hey, did you happen to drive through Gilbert Creek? Which I knew they'd had. Yeah. Did you happen to see the speed bump? That's when it escalated.
Let's stop right there.
No,
Let's
I've
stop
got
right
the floor.
there.
I've got
First
the
of all,
floor.
you sitting up here, you telling a lie. I ain't drove in your yard. I mean, this is referred to me.
Hey.
I put 2 tires on the side of that speed bump like everybody else. That property belongs to the city of Satsuma, not to you.
See,
I did not break
so the
any
reason
law,
I'm here
and
is
you
the
drove
obvious
up my
reason
driveway
that
and
Bubba
threatened
Phillips
me.
was that person that drove in my yard.
Yeah, and then you come in my
A
driveway.
city council member
Hey,
who
hold on,
voted
hold
for
on.
a speed bump, who has got.
Hey, hold on,
Speed
Mr.
bump.
Barnes.
Chief, would you
You're
mind
addressing
telling him
us.
there was a
We're-
harassment
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
report filed on him?
Listen, so just let me tell you about a little bit about me. I'm a very quiet person.
Yeah,
you
you
probably
sound
don't
like-
hear about me. You don't hear. I don't get on the NOMO and
Why
Voice
you come in
Satsuma
my driveway
and all that in
walked up my
plaster.
driveway
Hey,
and
excuse me,
threatened
let's get back
You're
on-
very quiet.
Hold your voice down and try to wrap it up. We've asked everybody to stay at 3 minutes if you're not on the agenda,
Okay.
but go ahead and wrap it up.
The point is, he openly admitted to me that it was not, that there was nothing I could do. He did not drive on my property because he did not cross my sidewalk.
I did
That is
cross
not
your
my sidewalk, that I don't own my sidewalk, that I don't own that
Hey,
patch of grass.
You're telling a lie right there. It did not touch that sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
wrap-
what you
wrap
said.
it
You
up.
said I didn't cross the
Is there any
sidewalk.
law in the city of Satsuma that says I can't put 2 tires on the side of that speed hump? What's it say? Maintain your lane, and I did.
Main lane, you gotta maintain the lane of
And that
travel.
property
Okay.
belongs to
That
the
means
city.
if 2 tires are on the speed bump, the other 2 tires are in my yard. Does that
Ain't your
qualify
yard.
as maintaining your?
Okay,
That
Mr.
is
Barnes.
not your
Mr.
yard.
Barnes.
Can I explain to the
Okay.
council? I paid $5,000 for that sidewalk
all
and
you
driveway
want.
that goes around that place. I
See.
paid for the sod, and I laid it my personal self. I paid for the water that comes out of the irrigation system that I just put in and watered that yard, and I have a hard time maintaining my grass. I am just like any one of you up there, and as I explained to him, if I drove through his yard with my 8,000-pound truck out there, my F-250, he would have a problem with it. You would have a problem with someone driving your yard,
Okay.
you.
I drove in
I have a problem with it. I have confronted it before. This is the first time anyone has ever gotten irate with me.
First
And
time
by the,
anybody
by,
in my driveway walked up in my carport
Okay, hey.
and threatened me too.
We're
How did I
5
threaten you?
minutes
Yes, you did.
into
You
it,
come to
Mr.
my
Barnes.
house.
okay.
Mr. Phillips, look, Travis, let's look at putting something on the side of the speed humps like we do in other places to keep people from going off of the road. Very common. You know what I'm talking about, sides of them. Go ahead and prevent it. We can do that. Hopefully that will prevent this from occurring again.
Well, our neighborhood, I'm here as also representing our HOA. We want more speed bumps. We're in Gilbert Creek. Our nemesis is whatever you want to call it to our subdivision is that back entrance that goes in Virginia Dale. That after he, by the way, bet me $1,000, and
That you
clearly
owe
this,
me, that you owe me.
that clearly this
Listen.
line right here,
That
Mark
you
said
owe
it's
me.
mine.
Hey, gentlemen, we're about to go into our regular meeting. We got to wrap this up.
Okay.
All right, the subdivision
People
was put
coming
in
through there,
years ago.
flying through there to use their own entrance. I was willing, we had our confrontation, he used his own entrance, Virginia Dale, that opens out the powers, there's no need to go through Gilbert Creek.
So now what you're saying, if you don't. live
Later
in
that day,
come
I have
through there.
Satsuma show up at my door, and I'm just trying to let the council know that there is an issue here, and obviously, I've been in the council, I've seen what's going on. I'm here because of an incident of a city council member who represents our city. I grew up here. My wife grew up here. I graduated Satsuma High School. My father, my mother, my grandmother even taught at Satsuma. My in-laws taught here. I have 3 children at 3 different schools in Satsuma, and my wife teaches works up at the school up there. We're involved in, we love our city. This is in no way how a city council member should act.
No way a citizen should come to my house and
I
approach me.
I did nothing that anyone else
Hey,
wouldn't
look,
do.
it's almost into our regular meeting. Mr. Barnes, I think you've made your point. We're going to address, to try to help you get people from going on to the side of the grass. As far as that, when they built that subdivision, I was on the planning board. We approved what was asked for by Mr. Harless, who
Right.
owned the property, and it tied into Creek Circle. There
Right.
was no opposition that I remember. I know that's probably been 15 years ago. So, I
15,
mean, we
20
really
years ago,
can't
from what I
restrict
understand.
traffic now from going any street
Yeah,
we maintain.
we've had a
but-
major traffic issue. My issue is people driving in there, and
Okay.
and I don't feel like Satsuma Police Department is the what do you want to say, speed bump police.
Okay.
I feel like, if you have an issue or you see something blatantly happen in front of you in your yard, that you should be
Yes.
able to confront that. I did go get him back in my vehicle after he shook my hand and all this kind of stuff. After he got aggressive, I did go get back in my vehicle.
I got aggressive. You come to
Right.
my house and come all the way 70 feet up my driveway,
Hey.
and I got aggressive?
All right,
Come on.
gentlemen, I think we've got this settled. I don't see a reason for this to go any further.
We'll have further discussions.
We've got to get ready for our regular council meeting. This was pre-council. If anybody else was planning on coming up tonight, Brett, real quickly, what were you going to speak on, if you want to come on? If y'all mind, it's going to make us a minute too late.
Oh,
in our
okay. My name's Brent. This is going to be a lot more pleasant. I'm a member of the Port City Pacers, which is a running group out of Mobile. They would like to put on, that's what the map is there, that the mystery map. I put it up there so I wouldn't have to hand it out. They would like to put on a 2-mile run August 13th, starting at the community center. There is a map there that you have. I've spoken with Chief Waits and Chief Harrell. Those dates are fine with them for support and for traffic, for helping us with traffic flow. It'll be a certified course after that. Oh, it's going to be certified. If y'all say yes, it's going to be a certified course, which will draw runners into the city because you can set state records, blah, 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 things like that. So we'd like to put that on August 13th. It'll be at 8 o'clock, I believe 8 o'clock in the morning. The community center is open. We've checked on that as well, so.
Okay.
But is this gonna take the place of the Chickasaw 2-miler?
Because they can't go to Chicxulub,
Okay.
so they're wanting to bring it up here. So that's.
Be a
that's
lot of
what it is.
people.
Yeah, it's their kickoff race for the season, so that's why it's 2 miles. It's not because it's in August, so.
I don't think anybody would have any trouble.
Be great.
Thank you, Brett. That sounds.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I'm out.
Yes, sir. Real quick now, we're going to have to make it fast, if it's pre-council.
right, my name is Darrell Lee, along with my mother-in-law back there, Janet Phillips. We live on Woodland Avenue, and we're up here to see if we can get approval for getting some cows over there, because we have 17 acres over there, right by Steel Creek. Our property goes all the way up to, I want to believe it's the Satsuma Cemetery, so we got a big patch right there. The previous owner that lived there was, I believe his name was Roy Hill, and he had horses over there. So you could come in here to see if we can get approval and get, anywhere upwards to, a dozen, just because, not right now, we're gonna start off slow, 2 or 3 breeding pair, and, kind of work our way up. And, meat prices, y'all all been to the grocery store, y'all know how high everything is getting right now. So we're just coming to ask approval for that, and then, we're gonna try to get, we're gonna build a chicken coop on the backside of our property as well. And, it's already pastured up, we got water, a water source, the creek and all that, so that's what we're here for. We're just here to see if y'all wouldn't, mind, passing a yes vote for us getting some
Okay.
cows.
Okay, well, you've told us what the issue is, and we can readdress it once we
Yes, sir.
go into session,
Okay.
okay? All right,
Yes, sir.
well, thank you, Mr. Lee.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can stick around for the meeting if you'd like. Was anybody else who was going to approach? Yes, sir. Just like he did, please make it quick so we can.
I'm Jesse Purcell, live at 214 Pine Avenue East. We're having an issue with the neighbor on a right-of-way that belongs to the city. He's been throwing construction debris into the right-of-way, and he's been told twice not to do it by Tom, and he's still doing it. So he says he owns it. Tom says the city, Satsuma, owns it, so we've been having an issue with him. I got pictures of all the debris he's been throwing into the right-of-way.
And the reason we're asking is because my house sits behind other houses. So not only does it affect our driveway, but it affects 3 other people's backyards. They have no access to that driveway if it's blocked
Oh, okay.
to get to their backyard.
Tom, are you familiar?
We do have a driveway on Park Street, but we have a driveway on Pine as well because we have no road frontage and we have no turnaround back there. So that's why it's an in and an out. So we asked him not to put construction debris into the driveway because we are the primary people of that lane because it leads right to my house, but it affects 3 other people behind us for their backyards. They cannot access the driveway if
Oh, I'm
it
sorry, I
has
didn't see it.
debris in it.
What street is this? On Your Park Street is where the right-of-way is.
The Park Street's on right-of-way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is road frontage here. This is the easement right here. Our property goes all the way to the road here on Pine. And this easement is supposed to be Satsuma City easement. It's like 215 foot from the road to our gas meter. This is supposed to be his property. It's 140 foot across. He says he owns 155. He's adding a 15-foot easement to his property, what he's trying to do.
Well, he's just recently moved there. He hadn't been there not even 6 months. So, first of all, it started out with concrete blocks that were probably the size of this.
Size of a
Into
golf
the, into
ball,
the
softball,
driveway.
baseball.
You can't turn. My mailbox is down there, my garbage can, my water meter. There's nowhere to turn because of the tree on the side. So we
Just for
approached-
time's sake, since we didn't know anything about this, and we're already into our regular council time, can you let us look at it and come back at the next meeting, and I'll get with Tom, and we'll find out what
Do you want us
what
to
he's
do
been
this?
doing, or
He's got
it would be good if we could give some history, or we know something about a problem
Okay.
without knowing this was coming up tonight. It's just
And
going
we
to be
also
difficult
have
to
a letter
answer.
from one of our neighbors that
Okay.
accesses that driveway as well. So she can't utilize it if it's blocked.
We will try to get all of that together so
Okay.
everybody can have something to look at and
Okay,
have a
that'd
chance
be
to go
good.
by maybe and even see it before we, it would
Okay.
help us a lot to do that.
so much.
But thank you. Okay.
Next meeting?
Yes. Next meeting is the first Tuesday of June, so it will be,
First.
see, I guess that will be the June 7th. Is that correct? June 7th, and then the 21st will be the 2 meetings. So if y'all come back at the pre-meeting at 6 PM on June 7th, we'll try to, if we haven't been able to resolve it between now and then come back.
All right, thank you.
If it is, perhaps we can have it resolved, and
Yes,
take
I
care of
would
it,
like to
okay?
have resolved rather than it getting out of hand.
Well, thank you.
Figure something.
We appreciate that. Okay. Was there anybody else that was coming up tonight? I tell you what, if it's okay with everybody, I'm gonna ask that we take a 5-minute recess. It's 7:05, and we will go back in session at 7:10, 5 minutes, if that's okay. Okay, it's 7:17, and we're going to call the Satsuma City Council to order. I'm sorry we're running a few minutes late. Our pre-council went a little longer than we anticipated tonight, so I apologize for anybody we caused inconvenience to for that. So with that being said, most of you are regulars at our meetings. Y'all know that we always start off our meetings with invocation followed by the pledge. So at this time, if you're wearing a hat, please remove your hat, stand, silence your phones, and Allison, would you lead us in a word of prayer, please?
Let us pray. God, we come to you tonight. We feel the struggle in our own community. We ask that you put your hand on us and remind us that we are to love our neighbor as you love us. Just let us go and be calm and be friendly. And I know I've asked you this before, Lord, but this is the time for all of us to come together and raise up the community. The seniors are about to graduate. I ask that you be with them, be with the kids that are coming up, and let them have good role models and examples to follow. We need to be that for our children. I asked all of this in your name, Lord. I ask you to be with the first responders. Just take care of us, Lord. We come to you. We seek you. Just put your hand of comfort on us. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Heather, if you would, give us a roll call, please.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember Butler,
Present.
Councilmember Skelton,
Present.
Councilmember Reese,
Present.
Councilmember Phillips,
Here.
Mayor Barlow.
Here, please let the record reflect that all are here tonight, including city attorney, city clerk, and the department heads. Next thing on our item is the agenda for tonight. We may change it or add to it a little bit as we discussed in pre-council, but as it stands now, motion to pass the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to the minutes. I think Heather made us a copy in the short break that we had, so hopefully you'd read it off your email, but if not, we have a hard copy here for you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made again by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the minutes as distributed for the last meeting of May the 3rd, 2022. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. We had no recognitions tonight. Our pre-council had several people wanting to speak, so we can address anyone that wants to come back before the council tonight in our regular session that didn't, I think we was able to get most of that worked out in our pre-council meeting. We may have to do something to limit the time people come speak at that. I wasn't expecting that to go quite so long tonight, so I apologize. I didn't know they were get drug out. But are there any other visitors that would like to come before the council tonight that did not come in the pre-council meeting? Mr. Lee, I know we cut you off back there on Woodland discussing the cows. I did not mean to do that, but if you'd like to come back up once again and give your name and address for the meeting.
Yes, sir. It's 58 Woodland Avenue. It's right on behind Bay City Grill is where it's at. And like I said, we were just up there asking for approval just for the cows. And, we're going to try to put some chickens back there. But we have enough property that where we're going to be away from our adjoining neighbors and all that. And I know our next door neighbor, he don't have no problem with it. We've talked to him about it before. And then, it's just something we're trying to do, help cut the grass down and kind of help, that food bill if it ever gets any higher than it already has. So we're just up here asking for approval for that. And then, like I said, the previous residents had been up here, like, trying to be on our behalf, 'cause they had horses, but, we called up here and they said that we had to be present and, ask ourselves. So that's what myself and, like I said, my mother-in-law about it, that's what we're here for.
Okay. Yes, sir. Sometime several months ago, the issue was brought before the council. And at that time, I think it died, and some of y'all correct me if I'm,
I made a motion, it died from lack of a second.
Mr. Phillips had made a motion that died from a lack of a second, but I do know that we were talking that nobody was actually before the council requesting cows. Is that not the reason we said that? So,
I think that's what it
so I guess now would be the time that you would have to request that. And I think you said there's something about I know that was a big sticking point with a couple of the council members was how many cows would be allowed on the 17 acres.
Yes, sir.
So you might want to come back and make sure that your neighbors are all okay with that, number one, and number two is tell us what you would be asking for before.
Okay.
Because we need to be clear, because I'm just going to be honest with you, you're not going to get approval for a bunch of cows to go in there.
Yes, sir.
It's,
Or we're not trying to do 1 cow per acre. Maybe, we're thinking maybe, even if it was 1 cow per 2 acres, maybe 8. So not a whole lot in there.
I think one of the things also, the ordinance would have to be changed, correct? Is that right? Okay. It would just, some more formalities,
Yes, sir.
but.
I gave them Heather's card, so I told her she may have some questions, and that us knowing more information about what it is that they would like might give us a better chance to have an informed decision on this.
we had a little more information that she was saying from
Yes,
you,
sir.
because, there has been some opposition to cows being in the neighborhood there.
Yes, sir.
Because I know you do have 17 acres,
Correct.
but you also have some close neighbors also where you're
Yeah.
at there.
Well, they're more they're a
Right.
couple hundred feet on the roadside, so we're talking, they're gonna be beyond, they'll be 600-700 feet from the road, so the neighbors are right here on the front side, so they're gonna be on the back, so they're not gonna be, but like I said, I told them we're gonna have a draw hair, we got a tractor and all that to knock all the manure and everything down. We're not making a big compost heap, we're not gonna pile it up, we're gonna hair it into the ground, so it's not gonna be an inherent smell just all the time out there. We're gonna upkeep it, it's not like we're just gonna let it go.
But most of the time, when we don't have someone on the agenda,
Yes, sir.
and we haven't had a chance, like they said, to look at the ordinance
Correct.
or to look at the property, we don't
sir.
generally we ask for a little time. So if you'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to get back on the next agenda, you can call the city clerk or she may refer you over to Tom. He's dealt with that over the years.
Yeah, we got her card. So this is just the first meeting we've been to
Okay.
this. I mean, we knew we had to come up here and, make it known, so that's why we're here.
So you've got it started. You know some of the questions that we're going to ask.
Yes, sir.
And if you're ready or you'd like to come back in June, you can, or,
Yes, sir.
if it's July, you come back, but
Yes, sir.
just so you know where we're at now, and, you have come up, and you do have,
I got you.
you are the
Yeah.
property owner asking for
Yes,
it
sir.
now, so it's different than whenever it was the last time it died.
Correct.
Okay?
All
Well,
right.
thank you for coming
All right.
tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, have a nice evening, sir. Okay, anyone else need to come before the council tonight? Good. Okay. All right, we're going to go on into our reports and announcements from the mayor and council. I'll start off. I think we covered it pretty extensively in pre-council, so I know that Edith informed me of the death of one of our longtime residents, Ms. Pope, who passed away since our last council meeting, so, sympathy for her family, if you see any of them. Several of us in pre-council discussed the Alabama League of Municipalities conference that several of us went to last week in Tuscaloosa. I said earlier, you always learn something. You look at how to spend money. If we had a lot of money on different things, but it was a nice conference. We all had a nice time. So, just report back on that. We discussed the graduation being Friday. Hopefully the weather will be good, and hopefully our girls will, who are playing softball tomorrow, will have some success. I know that would be a good send-off for our seniors, for the success that some of the sports programs have had in the last couple of years. So let's hope that that'll go good. The chapel at the Steel Creek Lodge, we discussed earlier in pre-council, and I brought it to the council that we would go ahead and look at staking out where the building would be, so we can get a start on that. And like I said, they have secured some ways to stretch their dollars out a lot better with a couple of companies here locally that's agreed to help out. So they're very excited about that. Mr. Joe Tarver says he's getting close to a point that he could start that. So if that's all good, then we will be able to report back to you, I'm sure, by June the 7th. I think that gives us 3 weeks to get some stuff going. We mentioned that the fence at Wright Park on the Plateau Avenue side, we hope to have up by this weekend. It's just been having to wait in line to get it taken care of. The Memorial Day celebration will be Monday week at 9 a.m. here. Edith had asked that I make sure we find out who will be coming or who will attend, and that way we can kind of divide up, as we usually do, the different parts of the program. Is there anybody that don't think they'll be able to attend this year or might have travel or anything, or do you know?
I hope to be there.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Butler? you
I'll be
think-
there.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be out of town.
Okay, Mr. Skelton will be out of town. Ms. Reese, you think?
It's 2 weeks, right?
Well,
The 30th. Okay, yes, I'll be available.
okay, Mr. Phillips?
I'll be there, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, it was 2 weeks from yesterday on the 30th, okay? All right, well, Edith, you back there, so it looks like
Nine.
the 5 of us will be there. And hopefully between Mr. Jack and I, we'll have you a speaker in the next couple of days. I was very pleased, and I'm sure all of you are, that the pay-as-you-go street paving project has begun in Satsuma. If y'all get a chance, ride by and look over in the Avondale Avenue, Joe Janelle area, and hopefully they'll be moving to Really Crook and Bradford in the next couple of 2 or 3 days, weather permitting, so that's good. Alan from Civil Southeast spent a few minutes with us going over some of the projects regarding road paving and some sidewalks. I think we got a resolution, don't we, in here? Okay, we'll take care of that in our items on down further. We asked that we have some resolutions, and the council has agreed. I will see if we can get Kevin or Harrison or Diane one from South Alabama Regional Planning Commission. Both of those people worked with the city for over 30 years each regarding several different programs. Mainly the Planning and Board of Adjustments was with Diane, and road paving projects and sidewalk grants and all has been procured through Kevin Harrison. So we'll have those on the agenda in either the next meeting or even the following meeting, once I find out what their schedules are.
There are a few little typos.
Yeah, let's read them. Yeah.
They were sent to us.
Okay.
Ms. Gifford at the Community Garden Park wanted me to remind everyone that she is having a food truck at the part where they are doing the planning, and she wanted to invite all the council to come by. That will be Thursday afternoon. Do you know what time it was? I think it said 5:30 or something is what was, but I can let y'all know the exact time, but it is Thursday afternoon if y'all have. Okay, well, you may not be able to make it. We discussed the signs at the, several places in the city at the north and south end, also entering Fred K. Wright Park, pointing back over to the Public Works Building and to Steel Creek Lodge, that we are looking at trying to put those on the agenda for the next meeting so we can discuss that. We've been looking at upgrading our signs, some speed signs and curb signs on Juniper Avenue, and then what we could refer to as the S-curve. We got some quotes. We'll pursue that. And also on a couple of other streets around with these lighted speed signs that give the speed of the oncoming vehicles. And on the service road over there where we got that 90-degree turn, we don't have any real signs up that we need to probably have some. We hope to have the building inspector list. I understand they're telling us we will have it by the first of the month, and there are a couple applicants on it who we have been talking to. Remember, the Methodist Church is having a fish fry on Saturday, and the lodge is having a Memorial Day, their barbecue, their rib cook, so y'all keep that on mind. And I think everything else I have is going to be covered by one of you or under items for discussion and consideration. So with that being said, Mr. Little.
I didn't have much, Mayor. I was just going to thank the city once again for letting us participate in the convention last week. And congrats once again to our senior class of 2022. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Butler.
And I don't have anything for public safety.
That's good, quiet. Moving on, Mr. Skelton.
I'm good for now.
Ms. Reese.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to let everyone know that the registration for cheerleading is going to be starting on Thursday. And I wanted to remind everyone that the parks are public parks and they're open to everyone. And football and baseball can coexist together happily. The concession stand is to be shared by groups, football and baseball. And I wanted to make the ladies aware that the lady from cheerleading will be coming by to get a key for the concession stand, and she'll be filling out the proper paperwork, and we just need to make sure that the Parks Department has a key to the concession stand at Lions Park, and if they need to get some more made, let's make sure we have those available for her when she stops by. Is that... I don't see Travis.
No, he usually leaves after that, but I'm making a note to talk to him tomorrow.
Do we know the people who already have keys, are they going to return them? Or are they gone?
I'm not sure that the locks weren't changed without, I don't know how that happened,
So then
or if
we
it did or
probably
did
don't
not.
have the locks.
I'm not sure.
Who changed them?
I'm not sure. You're asking the wrong person.
We didn't change him. I don't know.
No, we
I
didn't
mean, if
change
somebody else did.
I think, I don't know if baseball put different locks on
So
them
basically,
or
we
not.
need to go cut the locks and put our,
That's correct.
I'm not sure. We just need to investigate to make sure it's available for
We
everybody.
need to have our locks so we can, so, yes, ma'am, I agree. Okay,
And there are 2 rooms inside the concession stand for, one's for football, one's for baseball, and then they do have the old restroom facility we've made, so each sport has a shared side for equipment and things that, for extra storage, so. All right, that is all.
long ago, we had
Right.
rooms remade.
right, you're right.
That's all. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, you're right, thank you, Heather. Yes, going on, Mr. Phillips?
I don't
Oh,
have nothing, Mayor. We're good.
Okay. Okay, we're going on to items for the discussion and/or consideration. A is payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $115,457.16.
Second.
Motion to pay the bills has been made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Phillips to pay the bills in a set of amount. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pass that. Moving on to B, ratifying the hiring of Carla Riley as a part-time magistrate effective April 23rd, 2022.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Little, hiring of a court clerk, Carla Riley. effective date of April 23rd, 2022. All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Moving on to C, ratify the hiring of Michael Wizenhut as a full-time EO operator effective May the 11th, 2022.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Phillips, the hiring of the gentleman, Mr. Michael Wizenhut, as a EO3 operator effective May 11th, 2022. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ratify, D, ratify the hiring of Jonathan McClendon as a full-time police officer. That was effective April 23rd, 2022.
We make a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skeleton of the hiring of Josh McClendon as a full-time police officer. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Very next one, similar, ratify the hiring of Gage Busick as a full-time police officer to be effective May the 7th, 2022.
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion again made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Skelton. The hiring of Mr. Busick. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
We're moving on through these quick. F, hiring and ratify the hiring of, is it Chief Taranja Tawanda?
Ronja. There you go.
Thank you. I agree with that.
She
Hiring of
prefers
Ms.
Renee.
Briggs as a full-time jailer dispatcher. That was effective on the March 26, 2022.
We make a motion?
Second.
Once again, Mr. Skelton Mr. Butler made it, and Mr. Skelton seconded the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, our G is the consideration of pay adjustments and across the board for all employees. Jason and Heather have put together a pretty good spreadsheet that gives us a lot of information. But in that, we're going to be discussing specific employees, which may bring the name and character, good character into question. So I would think that needs to be done in executive session. So if y'all would like, I'd like to move that to the end, and we can set that for a brief discussion. Is that okay?
Good idea.
Thank you. Moving on to H, discussion and consideration for quotes to service the generators throughout the city.
Mayor, I didn't have a copy of those quotes, but I believe Councilmember Phillips gave them out last meeting to everyone. So, I can have them. But I don't have them.
I have them with me, but we was talking about, this was just one quote, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the quote we had. I didn't bring mine out here.
We talked about was getting more than one quote.
I think I brought that part up. It says quotes.
You did.
But that's all we've received, is that correct? Just this one?
Yeah, I don't know the,
I mean, that's
I
a,
think Tom had been the one that had done those in the past. He got our quotes for that stuff, because he kind of had a lot of storm-related stuff he handled through.
I think Generac did them,
So
right?
it's a Generac brand, but I don't,
I think that he got quotes from them in the past.
I mean, I'm fine with this, but I think we need to at least get if we can get more quotes.
let's see if I can get James, to the next meeting. Only thing is, I would like to go ahead and get that done, because
Yeah.
he was right when he brought it up. You know, we don't need to let a storm slip in there on us and not done that.
That's correct, yeah.
I'll get with James tomorrow and see between him and Tom, if he can call Tom, and we'll get somebody else out here, and we'll compare the prices, okay?
Wanna make a
Once we
motion
do
to
that,
table?
yeah, well, if we can get some more bids, let's go ahead and get it done and just have it done before the next meeting. I mean, we're in June now, we're in hurricane season. We need to be getting our plans ready. But whoever is selected to do it, we'll come back to the council and let them know who did it and what the price was. And if any of y'all have anybody that you want to recommend, you know, that'd be fine too. Okay. On I think we just need to delete that one, because we're just gonna change the hours, basically. Is that not correct now, Heather, from our discussion today?
Whatever y'all wanna do. Alan had just asked that it be on the agenda, that in the resolution, 'cause they.
No, on the discussion consideration of resignation of Rachel.
Oh, you should have a new one. 'Cause
That's
I
the one you
deleted
get?
that. We only have I's now, the.
Okay, well, then that's already taken off.
Yes, sir. I removed it.
But this one on my packet, but okay. Discussion of consideration entering into a supplemental agreement with Civil Southeast for project, and it gives a number, RALG 49-2022-444. That would be to pave, down the, let me see.
That's the one that's kind of going along with Resolution C, right?
Trying to find them, get them all in order.
That's correct.
Got such a large packet of information tonight, I gotta go back and look it up. And then we should be able to. Growth, let me see that. Alan has sent me so much stuff in the last couple of days regarding all of them. You have right there what
Yeah.
one he's got.
This is, you want the resolution?
Yeah, hand it over, please. You got everything, Jesse? Yeah. Is this one here?
That's the
We'd already
supplement.
signed? Okay, he's signed it. This is the one we'd already signed, we'd agreed to. Are y'all all familiar with the supplemental agreement? Okay, anybody want to put
I
that
make the
in?
motion.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Little make the motion to approve the supplemental agreement with Civil Southeast. Mr. Butler has seconded. Any other discussion?
Just to clarify that if he's adding this as an alternate to, or an additive alternate to the existing project,
Yes, sir.
that if we do not select that, we're still on the hook for $9,100.
We would still owe, or
Which is the,
80, the $9,100.
yep, for the design work. Just
That
wanted
is
to-
correct, if we did not choose to do it.
So that covers these two right here?
It would cover,
This covers that?
yeah, so if you don't accept that bid, or if it comes in higher than what you expect, you would only be paying the $9,100. You wouldn't be paying the engineering inspection because there's not anything being built.
Well, I mean, when we talked about that, I made that very clear that if he can do it for this price
Right.
or close,
Right.
we're all on board. But if we
Yeah.
get some crazy bid back,
If it comes back $200,000, we're
Then-
gonna be
right,
talking.
but if he misses it that much,
We're gonna be
we
talking.
might be talking right. So I agree, I think it's worth,
Okay,
because,
so he's close to the mark is what he's
Yes,
saying
ma'am.
with this figure, okay.
okay, with all the discussion, now all those in favor signify by aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay. Okay, and these resolutions, these are all going to be postponed until a meeting in the future, either the next or even the second meeting in June. Yep, and, right, I was going to say that's A and B. And then C is Resolution 2022-05-05, which is basically the same thing we just talked about.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Skelton to pass the resolution, which was basically the same thing we just did regarding Dogwood. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. We have addressed everything that was on our agenda tonight. I did have one other quick thing. If you all wanted to look, the county has asked us, did we wish to continue to participate in the urban county entitlement program, which I don't think that Satsuma's ever really done. We've just always participated in the county. It's better for us. So I've just told them we would continue on with the agreement.
Did you get one that was addressed to you?
No,
Oh, Eric Peoples' name on there.
yeah, I don't know why they did it like that, but I know Mount Vernon doesn't. They participate more.
Sure.
So I actually joked with him about that at the,
I'll have to ask him
Dang.
because he works at Lindsay with me.
yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. I told him we'd gotten, he's called a couple times recently on a couple things, so I thought it was funny we got something addressed to him, but I think it was just a typo.
I got you.
Okay, well, I've got everything that I know of that we had agreed to talk. We're going to go into executive session, and if, for approximately, what do y'all think we will need? Since we have to give a time, it's 7:49. And, yeah, I got to give a time, though. So approximately, y'all think 20 minutes to give us time? Go into executive session for approximately 20 minutes to discuss raises, and it could be involved in good name and character of people. So with that being said, if somebody will make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reese and seconded by Mr. Skeleton. We will be in executive session from 7:50 PM, and hopefully we'll be back in about 20 minutes. If y'all would like to stay, you're welcome. If not, we'll be back. See y'all the next time. Thank you for attending tonight.